Brown Bear, What Do You See? By Bill Martin Jr. and Eric Carle. Brown Bear, What do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. Red bird, what do you see? I see a yellow duck looking at me. Yellow duck, what do you see? I see a blue horse looking at me. Blue horse, what do you see? I see a green frog looking at me. Green frog, what do you see? I see a purple cat looking at me. Purple cat, what do you see? I see a white dog looking at me. White dog, what do you see? I see a black sheep looking at me. Black sheep, what do you see? I see a goldfish looking at me. Goldfish, what do you see? I see a teacher looking at me. Teacher, what do you see? I see children looking at me. Children, what do you see? We see a brown bear, a red bird, a yellow duck, a blue horse, a green frog, a purple cat, a white dog, a black sheep, a goldfish, and a teacher looking at us. The craft today is going to be not a bear, but what the bear sees in the story. Do you remember? The brown bear sees a red bird. So the Storytime craft today will be a red bird. Now the red bird craft, like most of my crafts, will be a paper collage. For this craft, you will need red paper. I didn't have any red construction paper, but as I often say, I made do with what I had at home. I made my own red paper by gluing red tissue paper to white cardstock and letting it dry. Eric Carle, the artist and illustrator in the Brown Bear story, makes his illustrations out of painted tissue paper. So me using the tissue paper seemed appropriate. But you can use what you have. Red construction paper, white paper, colored red cardstock, even red printed scrapbook paper would probably work. You will need a ruler, paper to glue your collage to, glue, a black marker, and scissors. You will also need a small piece of black paper for the bird's face and an even smaller piece of yellow or orange paper for his beak. You will also need something to trace out your circles. I traced the top of a peanut butter jar and a small can of tomato sauce. But again, use what you have, just so long as you have one circle that's a little bit larger than the other. So to begin, you will trace out two circles on the red paper. The larger one is for the cardinal's body, or the red bird, and the smaller one will be for the wing. Next, use your ruler to draw an uneven triangle. I'm sure there's a technical math term for this, but just so long as you make one leg of your triangle longer than the other. This is going to be his tail, so it should be fine. It doesn't have to be precise. The size of your triangle, which is the bird's tail, as I mentioned, will really depend on the size of your circles. You can always trim it down if it seems too big or too long. You will also make a smaller, more even triangle that will be the red bird's head. And then you cut it all out. Now, we'll only use half circles for the cardinal's body and wing, so fold each circle in half and then cut along the fold line so that you end up with two half circles. Get your white piece of paper or whatever you want to glue your cardinal to and start with the larger half circle, which is the body. Before you glue it down, get the uneven triangle and position it how you want underneath the half circle as shown. Glue down the triangle and then glue down the larger half circle over it. Next, match up the smaller half circle with the larger one. Glue straight side to make the bird's wing. You'll want to position the wing closer to the tail because you're going to glue the head on next, and the wing on the red bird is back a little bit from the head. Now, go ahead and glue the smaller triangle to the paper as shown, and there's the red bird's head. Now, the male cardinal, which is what we have here since the females are a duller color, also has a kind of black mask on its face. So you'll need to cut out a small triangle to make the mask. You may have to try a couple of times and trim it to make it look the way you want. Then you just glue it down. Next, you will cut a very small triangle out of orange or yellow paper to make the red bird's beak. Again, you may have to trim it and try again to get it just the right size. Glue that on. And finally, if you don't have any small googly eyes to glue on, and I didn't, you can just cut out a tiny circle of white paper and use your marker to make a dot in the circle and glue that on for the redbird's eye. Let everything dry for just a little bit, maybe 10 minutes, and then you can come back with a black marker and add some details like lines on the tail, some little feet, a little bit of fluff at the top of the redbird's head, and some little smiley faces on the wing just for a little detail. I also outlined the bottom part of the wing so it looks like shadow and makes the red wing stand out a little more from the red body. And there it is, a red bird that you can see.